Let me state that the theme of this conference, leading with integrity, is very well chosen. Integrity is beyond definition. In fact, I see integrity as life. It is life and it is life's worth. As Mary Ann Evans, an English novelist that quite a number of us are familiar with, says that our deeds determine us as much as we determine our deeds. Integrity, therefore, is a value we cultivate, which in turn becomes an essence that defines who we are. Integrity is the quality of being honest, having strong moral principles. It is about doing what is right, even when no one is watching. Leading, therefore, with integrity means that one operates with transparency and accountability for the decisions that you take. It means that you put the greater good ahead of self-interest. Integrity-driven leadership inspires trust, respect, and loyalty among the led. Leaders who lead with integrity leave enduring legacies. People flow and follow with them. Not because they have to, but because they desire to. Developing and sustaining integrity-driven leadership starts with self-awareness and commitment to a personal moral code. Integrity is a personal resolve and comes from within. It is modeling the behavior you want to see in others. I decided to prepare a paper that I'm going to oblige the convener. But again, talking about integrity is not really standing here to read or to preach. We do this every time. It's a matter of demonstrating what you stand for. That's integrity. We can talk about all the principles. I have my paper prepared, but I think it's important to share a few things with you in a few minutes before I go back to where I came from. Upon my appointment, and I look at myself, of course, being part of the system as Chief of Staff and as Secretary to the Commission, and I said, look, the major problems or the great albatross we have in our system is what we're talking about now, the issue of integrity. Because if you don't have integrity, there's no way you will not be corrupt. Corruption is a seed of integrity. I mean, it's a seed of lack of integrity. So I asked myself, what am I going to do different from the past 4 chairmen? And the first thing I did, that no other chairman of EFCC has ever done, was to declare my assets. That's going to be the first test. Nobody asked me to do it. Of course, it's a requirement of the law, but I could have done it quietly. And I came out publicly, and I did. And I challenged every staff, every of my operatives. You have to do so. Because he who is to come to equity, your hands must be clean. And every time I address my staff, and I keep telling them, I say I challenge anyone, and I say it publicly. Throughout my private and public life, if I've ever obtained one dime illegitimately as process of corruption from anyone, and you know what it means when you serve as a chief of staff in an organization like that, you are like a shadow chairman. For years I did it. I was the secretary appointed by the president, confirmed by the National Assembly. In the midst of that, there was a storm. And I'm going to share this with you and probably step down from the podium. I was doing my work diligently. Of course, as a chairman, as secretary then, I was in charge of the general administration, managing staff strength of close to 5,000. I was the one administering all the forfeited assets from east to west, north to south. Managing them, reporting to the National Assembly and the presidency as to how we manage the assets forfeited to government. There was someone who was supposed to be a cabinet member, who was a cabinet member as it were, but I was not meant to report to the cabinet member. And a time came and said, look, bring this and bring that. I said, sir, no, I will not do that. The particular provision of my law, of the Establishment Act of this organization, says this is how this has to be done. The second time he sent for me, and I resisted. And he looked me in the eye. He said, what do you mean? And he identified himself. I said, I know you, sir. You don't have to identify yourself to me again. But I'm saying this is my stand, and this is what the law says. And so I left. And somebody called me afterwards and said, look, sir, you better come back and beg this man, or else your days are numbered. I smiled. I knew where I was coming from. And I know my life and my destiny is not going to end where I am. The journey is still far. If you understand where God is taking us to, some of the things we do that will make us compromise, we will run away from it. So 3 weeks after, a panel was set up. Of course, some of us who followed what happened early in 2020 in the EFCC, you understand what I'm talking about. My name was all over the place, maligned left, right, and center. Esteemed guest, I was under investigation for 2.5 years. Suspended for doing nothing. At the end of the day, I was given a clean bill. There is nothing they didn't do. There is nowhere they didn't search. They don't believe, no, but they couldn't believe that there is someone in this country who will hold such a position as chief of staff in the EFCC and secretary. Number two, that you manage the entire asset. At some point, we have assets over 500 real estate that I manage, that they will not trace something for you. At some point, I wanted to auction. We shortlisted 11 auctioneers. The members of the auction committee say, oh God, look, we have not brought a candidate. A candidate to do what? And incidentally, my in-law was an auctioneer. Not until 2 years ago that we had to reconcile. Because, for the action that I took, not allowing him, not registering him as part of the auctioneers, led to a lot of things, I used 11 auctioneers. Not one did I introduce. Not one. Now, assuming I introduce one, or assuming I sold property to my family members, because I never believe, as someone who works in that environment, you never believe a day will come that you also will be subject to investigation. But I always knew that. So if you are here, you are a public officer, you are holding the position of trust, know it that one day you will be called upon to account for your deeds. If it's not here on earth, it will be beyond. Let's always know that. And so the time came, and I challenged the panel that was investigating me. I said, sir, search everywhere. My private life, my public life. And one of the guys that actually interrogated me happens to be somebody I recruited myself. The panel sat, did their recommendation. They said they should do further investigation because they couldn't believe that. Look, how could you have done work by this position and nothing will be found against it? So they referred the matter again to another law enforcement, incidentally where I worked. So when I was invited, I went there again. The guy that sat to interrogate me happens to be somebody I recruited into the organization myself. So his hand was shaking. When he was taking me, I said, look, relax, do your work. And the long and short of the story is that after that, I was given a clean bid, asked to go back, but I refused to go back as a secretary. I faced my private practice. God bless me. And today, I'm back as the chairman of the same organization where I was subjected to ridicule. This is my story of integrity. I'm not sure there's anything I need to read anymore to add to what I've shared with you. It's a matter of time. Make sure your hands are clean in whatever you do. I recognize that there are so many pastors here, senior pastors, our daddies and mummies, captains of industries. In the course of my working in the anti-corruption environment, I've had cause to convict pastors. It's not a palatable story, but I need to tell you that. I've had cause to convict imams, religious leaders, Shango worshippers, Babalawos, all kinds of so-called religious leaders, all kinds of. So for the mere fact that somebody says he's a pastor, or he's a Christian, or he's a Muslim, or he's an imam, does not build any insulation around you that you will not be corrupt. I'm so sad that one of the pastors we also convicted is even a pastor in my own denomination. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. It might not be a good story to tell, but that is the reality. How many of us can sincerely ask ourselves this question that everything I have I can defend? As a pastor, as a public officer, as a leader of opinion, as captains of industry, that everything I own today, I can legitimately defend them. That's the beginning of the test of integrity. We can stand here and speak grammar from morning till evening. Doesn't mean we are clean. Just this yesterday, I had cause to arraign a former minister of power. Doctor was talking about power. Mambila, you will remember. For 33.something billion. And these are people that occupy front positions in religious centers. When I was being investigated, the only thing they now saw, they saw so many accounts that I was signatory to. They said they've caught him. So by the time they investigated, they discovered that it was Redeemed Church account. I said, the cost that Baba Devoye will put on you if you touch his church money. This house has to be clean. And that has to be pure. That's the only thing that can help you. Upon my assumption of fault, people were saying, sir, we are praying for you. I said, don't pray for me, pray for yourself and pray for Nigeria. I said, why are you praying for me? He said, we just look at how your predecessors came and left, blah, blah, blah. I said, they were the one that knew what they did, why they came like that and left like that. My story is going to be different from that. And I said publicly, I challenge anyone that has ever given one dime or have taken a bottle of Coke as a suspect in your house. That's what I mean by integrity. That's the difference between our country and countries where things work. People don't gather in church or in mosque to pray 5 times a day, 10 times a day. They don't even know Jesus Christ is. They don't even know who Muhammad is. But they do the right thing. They follow the law. They obey the rules. They comply. Let's check ourselves. Are we really God-fearing people? Do we understand what it means to be a Christian or a Muslim? Are we not just being religious? Those of us who are at the forefront of this battle, when we make 1 or 2 moves, the same people who are supposed to support you will begin to throw banters on social media. Look, is it not a shame? Yes, we are not saying we are perfect, but when we see something that's going towards the line of doing the right thing, are we not supposed to support it as people who are God-fearing? In a particular state, we carry out an operation. We arrested 227 people. As I'm talking to you, 113 were indicted. I've already filed charge against over 80. In a country, in my short stay in the office, I've had cause to arraign 2 ex-governors for multiple billions of fraud. I've had cause to arraign ministers. I've cause to arraign several. I've cause to recommend certain people should be suspended from office. Some of you must have read in the pages of this about tens of billions that I've recovered in 8 months. Tens of billions. I don't want to mention it directly here. I'm not completely proud of that. Because I look inwards. And by virtue of my foray into that environment, I know for you to have recovered even 1 billion, at least 10 billion must have been stolen. Is it not a shame that some of us will come out and carry placards when we are saying somebody who has held office for 8 years, come and account for what you did? It's not a shame. And people, not until we realize and we look inwards that we are the cause of our own problems in Nigeria, there will be no solution. That's why I'm particularly delighted about this conference. I had to put everything I was doing in Abuja aside to be here this morning to identify with this cause. It's important for us to talk to ourselves. Now, made me take the time past. Now going forward, how do we rescue this country? How do we at least give our people a taste of good governance for once in their lifetime? And I was addressing the Federal Executive Council. I told them, I said, look, if we can do 50% of our capital budget execution this year, Nigeria will be fine. Trust me, South and Mass, Nigeria will be fine. If you look at the researches we did, there is no year we have done up to 20%. And money releases are made, money will go. And I look at it, I said, look, if I should continue like this, how are we going to end? We keep chasing, stolen fund every time, investigate, prosecute. Whether they convict or they don't convict, we recover. You are telling me somebody did not steal money, you are releasing him on technical ground. When I recover over 200 billion, and I said, okay, don't convict. Let me just keep recovering the money. So we kept doing that, and I called my management. I said, look, team, what are we going to do next? So we agreed. Now we are going to the area of prevention. Because we have discovered the ingenuity that actually some of these things we are doing don't really deter people, particularly Nigerians. And so we are just established what I call the Directorate of Fraud Risk Assessment and Control. A whole directorate in the EFCC now. We established about 3 months ago. We are going into the MDAs. We have over 700 of them. So we are going to go into their process for award of contract and procurement activities. And so we are examining that. The past 5 years, how many contracts have you awarded? What process did you follow? Where are the evidence of execution of these projects? Now, so we want to see one after the other. We want to see. But the question is, the challenge we are having, and the question is, I have over 700 ministry, departments, and agencies to deal with. And I have less than 4,700 staff strength. And out of that staff strength, less than 40% are investigators. Less than 25% are prosecutors. In addition to over 700 MDAs, I have 36 states in the Federation. In addition to that, I have 774 local governments. And now they said they should be releasing money to the local government directly. And those are the challenges. But again, the issue is, if I am not there as an investigator or a prosecutor, you are there as a responsible Nigerian. So that when you see something, you say something. It's a collective responsibility, people of God. No single person can do this work. No single agency can do this work. How much will EFCC do? How much will ICPC do? And I want to plead with those who are religious leaders. Let us use our podium, not only to preach, but to demonstrate. Just this last week, I've had calls to recover how many millions from a religious organization. You appointed you a pastor, you use the opportunity to. That's when you become a big man. We don't even know what you are doing to earn a living, legitimately on your own. You live on the people money, on the ministry, on the church, on the mosque. Can't even explain your wealth, the source of your wealth. If you are not accountable as a religious person, and you expect a public officer to be accountable. People of God, you want to hear the truth? You want to hear the truth? Some religious organizations are more corrupt than public offices. I have evidence, and I have evidence towards that. Medical evidence. It may not be expedient for me to say all that, yeah. But let us go home with that. You look at the speckle in somebody's eyes. Meanwhile, in your own eyes, there is a log. We preach this thing on the altar. But under our nose, the same thing happens. And sometimes we try to cover up. It's our own. Let us deal with it in-house. But when it is public officer, we go, all of us will start throwing banters. Are we doing this country, are we doing ourselves a good? No, we are not. You know why I can talk like this? Because I'm an insider too. And I also belong to the other side. And you know, it's only a stupid person that will also condemn his own constituency. But again, the truth must be told. That's part of integrity. So finally, I want to thank you, sir, for this effort you are putting. At least you are doing your bit to ensure things are right, done right in Nigeria. Continue to do it in the face of challenges. And I want to encourage all of us, our elders in the house, don't give up on Nigeria, sir. Don't give up on we younger ones. We try as much as possible to do what is right. What is important is we ask ourselves questions. Every day you wake up, am I contributing to the woes of this country, or am I contributing to the development of the country by virtue of what you do? We are very fast at pointing accusing fingers. But when you look at what you discover that you may be worse. On our part, we will do the little we can, given the confine of the provisions of the Lord within which we are allowed to operate. Most of the work is in the hand of every one of us as Nigerians. You are put in a position of trust. Do you run that organization the way it ought to be run? Right now, we are looking into the activities of some of our regulatory agencies, forex malpractices. And we discovered that private sector is more culpable than even the public sector we are talking about. Banks, financial industries. The Zonal Director just discovered that I'm just trying to, now I'm going to arraign over 60 finance houses that operated pyramid scheme. Claims Nigerians exploited them on their hard-earned money without any license, collected billions and ran away. And such people think they will have peace. They will never have peace. They can only run. They cannot hide. It's a matter of time. Corruption does not pay. The only thing that can help you in life when your hands are clean and your heart is pure. So on this note, I want to thank you very much for the privilege you have given me to speak. God bless you. God bless you.
Well, one of the things that is a massive, massive takeaway, sir, you said, is the Department of Risk and Fraud. Please say that again. Fraud, Risk Assessment and Control. That is a major, major policy decision that he has mentioned that EFCC is putting in place to help to reduce this issue. Can we have one microphone here for the pastor? I'm sure he has one quick comment on this, and if there is none, I will take only two because he has to be in Abuja within the shortest possible time. He will take only two points, only 2 questions. And it has to be like 30 seconds.
This is the kind of vanguard we want to build in Nigeria. People who will be able to stand and say, by the grace of God, I have an opportunity and a position. And I'm able to say, when I was looking about this, like Samuel, at the end of what he was doing, he said, look at me. I have served you for this period. If I have oppressed any man, if I have taken anybody's, this is me. And nobody could. This is for us, public, corporates, husbands, wives, pastors, Christians. Thank you, sir. That is my comment. Thank you, sir.
What is it that makes it impossible? Because I cited a case of a former president who said when you fight corruption, it fights back. So help us understand, and then we'll take 2 questions and we can let you go, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Akitebi. You know, in this country, even while I was chief of staff secretary, we have had cause to convict ex-governors. Maybe you have forgotten. True. Even though they were given pardon at the end of the day, when we convicted them, we have had cause to convict ministers. We have had cause to convict judges. We have had cause to convict ex-senior advocate of Nigeria in EFCC. So I can tell you, give you a list of what we have done. But you see, it goes back to our society again. The same people that we have found culpable, convicted, some of them have come back to where we investigated them. We felt, they did something wrong. They were reinstated, they were pardoned, and all of that. And for us, even that should be a disincentive. But again, we are not going to give up. We are not going to give up. Now, addressing the issue of why have we not, well, I've debunked that, but again, taking it forward. Now, I'd like to create a scenario for all of us to ruminate over and, have at least an understanding of what is going on. You see, fundamentally, there is nothing wrong with us as Nigerians. And I keep telling people, there are bad guys all over the world. As a matter of fact, of course, you are aware, the director of FBI was with me, I think about 3 weeks ago. He came to the office and we had a very good engagement. And we're trying to compare what is happening in Nigeria to what happens in America. And we discovered that during COVID, the money that the system was defrauded of was more than what Nigeria has been victim of for 20 years. In America, yes. But you see the difference. The system itself was able to dictate that. The system was able to build insulation systems so that such will not happen again. And those who are found culpable, some of them are already in jail. And I can assure you, nobody will give them pardon. Yeah, parole after a number of years, but they will still serve their jail term to a reasonable point. So the people, when we say we don't have convictions, what is the problem? Is it that we don't do our work as anti-corruption agencies? We do. Like I said, I don't have the power to convict. Don't forget, Nigerians are also our judges. They are also Nigerians. Don't forget those who carry placards and said somebody who has served them for 8 years, that we were able to trace money stolen direct. This is not through any technology. Direct, carry, cash, below the change. Now, some people will now come out. I was forced to speak out at some point because the pressure was too much. And like people were going to turn the media, change the entire thing, turn it around as if EFCC was just witch hunting. And by the time Nigerians saw the evidence of certain recoveries in dollars from school and all of that, that was when we believed that this actually happened. Now, these are the things that we should have added to our proof of evidence in court, which we have done. That kind of a case, somebody is hiding somewhere. So Nigerians know where the person is. Somebody say I didn't carry bomb to come and bomb the place. Am I looking for a terrorist? And the same Nigeria tolerates such things. And we are complaining, and we come out and complain that our country is bad. Who is making the country bad? So, sir, at every stage of building a life of integrity, transparency, and accountability in our system, the same people that complain, the same Nigerians will come and vitiate what we are doing. So that is the problem. That's why I said it's not about throwing banters on social media or in the pages of newspaper or talking about it on the podium. Let us sit down and engage. And let it be the takeaway from here, sir. Nigerians, let us sit down and engage. Let us agree. Let's challenge the government. Let's challenge the judiciary. Let's challenge the National Assembly. Let's sit down. Should we continue this way? I've been advocating for Unexplained Wealth Act that would make me say, look, if I find you are a public servant, you retire on grade level 17, I know your pension and I know your gratuity. Now you are living in a house of 1.6 billion in Ikoyi. I will call you, sir. Explain how did you acquire this? Simple. So the onus will now shift on you to explain, but they are saying, look, sir, I can't do that. I see how to prove that the man didn't steal money and all kinds of things. I said, okay, give me a law that will empower me to do this. We are sick on it. Civil society members, I've told you, my assumption of office, I launched interfaith teaching manual in Abuja. Most religious leaders were there, traditional rulers, for pastors and imams to teach integrity in their churches and mosques. I've printed over 10,000 copies. It's going to go around very soon. These are things because look at our children. Let me say this quickly. Some of you have taken us to cleaners for arresting Yahoo boys. It's convenient for us to use that slogan and phrase, Yahoo. And I've given you certain things in the course of my engagement. I said, look, this guy, in 2022 alone, we lost over $500 million. About 71 companies have profit that left the shores of Nigeria in 2023 because they brought in foreign direct investment. Not quite a week. These guys hacked their accounts and they swept the money off. Those guys went back. Jamaicans, Americans, Europeans, 71. Entrepreneurs that could have created wealth, created job. And these guys, they will sag trousers and and some of us will be supporting them, will be, no, leave them. They are hustlers. And we are building, and we are saying that we want to build a nation that has integrity, a corrupt-free nation. When you are forgetting that these guys are going to become the leaders of tomorrow, and some people are fighting me, why am I chasing them? I will do the mini and I will do the mega. Because if you don't do the mini will soon become mega. So let's come together. Let's call a spade. We are parents. Some of you are parents, it will shock you that some of your children do Yahoo. There are children of pastors and imams that we have arrested. Out of 127, 113, the one we did in Lagos, he was the one that did it. Out of 116, over 100 had already been indicted. What kind of nation are we building? That's why I said there's need for us to engage. I don't know how we are going to do it, Pastor Fande. Mommy, Dr. Awoshika. That the week go before the Lord takes you home. How are we going to, what you need to do to help us? You have your own circle of influence. Call them. Let us sit down and engage. National Assembly, I told them I'm ready to address the entire National Assembly on some of the things I've seen in the office and the way to move forward. But I will not leave this podium, thank you for giving me another opportunity, without first, no matter what you feel, thanking Mr. President. You know what happened? When this issue of Yahoo came up, he said, look, Ola, I'm going to set up a student loans program. Because one of the reasons why I engaged a 117-year-old guy, I don't know whether some of you saw it on social media. So one of the reasons why that guy did that was because he couldn't pay his school fees. So Mr. President, the established Student Loans Board now is working on consumer credit program, because Nigeria is the only country where you will take cash and buy house, take cash and buy car, take cash and buy, and you are saying you will not be corrupt, you will not corrupt. How are you going to eradicate corruption when everybody is buying cash? Everybody. So when you have a consumer credit program that can help you get a mortgage, you have worked for 5 years, you have access to mortgage, and you pay over 25, 30 years, that will reduce the propensity of being corrupt, even though we know there are people that corruption is in their DNA. But at least that will reduce, that propensity. So I want to thank Mr. President for doing that. Thank you very much.
My question, sir. Chairman, sir.
Say that again.
Since the position of leadership is a position of trust, how can we marry the intricacies of followers and other co-leaders leading us astray integrity-wise?
Because I am afraid the followers will not be worse than the leaders very soon. I'm afraid. With what I've seen, I'm afraid. My own perspective is a bit different. I speak from the perspective of hands-on, practical, examples. In the intelligence I have, the work I do every day. I was telling somebody, people thought I was lamenting. I said, I'm not lamenting. When I said, when you see some case files in my office, you will weep. I wasn't lamenting. I have just given you an idea of what we are passing through. And I said how Nigeria still survives. To me, it's a miracle. Even if nobody believes in miracle, survival of Nigeria is a proof that God does miracles. So, my sister, is making our leaders do the right thing lies in your hand and in my hand. Trust me. Because if we are saying leaders, what about the followers? There is a way followers can make leaders sit up. When we refuse to tolerate the wrongdoings on part of the leaders, a time will come when they will say, look, we better be serious. These guys know what they are doing. That's why I said there should be engagement. So when you look, whatever we do here, whatever we say, back and forth, we still come back to the point I've made. Let us have engagement. Let us sit down whether we actually need Nigeria or not. Well, let us sit down and agree. Are we ready to move forward? So if we do that, if there's an engagement, you will play your part, I will play my part, you will know your duty, I will know my duty, every one of us, because everybody has a role to play. It's not only the people in public sector, we are very quick to abuse president, abuse governors, abuse all of them, but I'm telling you, I'm seeing worse things in the private sector. I'm seeing worse things. So it's all of us, we are all involved. We are all involved. We abuse governors, big people. There are young men who have attained position of leadership in this country and messed up. Big time, messed up, big time. So we're not just looking at those people, we are looking at ourselves. Let's start, let's begin to engage. Let's come together and agree. What do we need to do next? I don't have all the solutions here, but the first point I'm going to make and which I'm going to emphasize is the issue of engagement. That is where we need to start. If we get it right at that point, we will going to flow in that spirit. And that consciousness and awareness will be there that we are building a nation. We are not just saying there should be no corruption and there should be no financial crime. We are building a nation, we are building a system of integrity. We are building a system where everybody believes in hard work, where everybody believes in diligence, where everybody believes in doing the right thing. That you can make it, you can be comfortable without stealing money. Even to the corrupt who have stolen our money. And I keep saying, you bought a Rolls Royce, you stole money, you bought Lamborghini, Rolls Royce. Where is the road in Nigeria to drive a Rolls Royce? You beat merchants in your village. Insecurity will not allow you to sleep there in 2 days or 2 nights. So even to the corrupt, do they really enjoy the process of crime? They carry the entire loot, they take it abroad. You know what happens? When they get there, the government of those countries will sit on it. EFCC go and bring forfeiture order from Nigeria. EFCC go and bring charges you have filed against them. Go and bring proof that this property belongs to us. We have been on it for 24 years, moderator. We are trying to recover 3.6 billion naira that the one we popularly call Abacha loot. The last $311 million that we have repatriated, I was one of the 4 public officers when I was secretary that signed for the repatriation in US, in Washington. Now, we have been able to do 1.9 billion out of over 3 billion in 24 years. So how many years will it take us to recover the rest? Thank you very much. God bless you.